Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, my name is Sean Ellsburn. I am the Mayor's Chief of Staff, and it is truly my great honor to be the MC of these events. As I recall, just about 2 years ago was the last time we had a large event like this inside City Hall before the trials and tribulations of COVID, and it is great to have everyone back in the building to celebrate the raising of the Irish flag. As MC, it is my responsibility to introduce the various speakers. Our first speaker today is my boss. And what I want to just say about her is really more directed at the United Irish Societies, Liam. It's more not so much a thank you as now it's a bit of a scolding. There is no one I know who enjoys wearing a sash more than London Breed. Ever since you made her Grand Marshal of the 2019 parade, every March thereafter, we now have to refer to her as Mayor Grand Marshal for the entire month. Everywhere she goes, she wears the sash the entire month. I saw her on her Peloton. She was wearing her sash. All throughout COVID on Zoom, she was wearing her sash. Jim, you have a big legacy to live up to this Grand Marshal. So, without further ado, Mayor Grand Marshal, London Nicole Breed.
I'm not going to fire you today. It's celebration with the Irish community. But this is the only sash I've ever been given in my whole entire life. So yes, I'm going to wear it with pride. So let me just say, the reason why we had to move this event to the South Light Court is because you guys were outgrowing the balcony. We've had so many people every single year to celebrate the flag raising come to City Hall that we wanted to make sure, working with Liam and the United Irish Society, to do it justice. And let me just say, after 2 years of a global pandemic and not being able to connect and see one another, I'm so happy to be here with each and every one of you. So thank you all so much for coming here today. I want to take this opportunity, and we have the Lord Mayor of Cork joining us here. Thank you so much. We've had a number of members of Board of Supervisors that joined us upstairs, including Supervisor Safai, Supervisor Haney, Supervisor Catherine Stephanie, your host today, Supervisor Mandelman. I saw our Assessor Recorder, Joaquin Torres, and our City Attorney, David Chu. Thank you all so much to our elected leaders for joining us. And thank you to our special and honored guests and our Counsel General, who has been wonderful. It is so great to work with Counsel General O'Driscoll over the years because he is always really the life of the party. So thank you so much for being here with us today. Today really is more than just a celebration of flag raising. It is a renewing of the relationship that exists between our city and the Irish community. We know that the first Irish immigrants that came to San Francisco in the 1950s and settled here created a community and created an opportunity for others to come. And when we think about that rich and proud history, we can't help but just remember and reflect, but more importantly, the contributions that this community has provided to San Francisco have been extremely invaluable. And when I think about the water I drink, which is the best water anywhere in the world, Hetch Hetchy and where that water came from and how it was created, the engineering, it came because of an Irishman who had a vision of what San Francisco needed then and into the future. And today we celebrate what is to come, the future, our recovery. 171 years of the St. Patrick's Day Parade, which I can't wait until tomorrow to celebrate that. And I look forward to renewing our commitment to our sister city, to Cork Sister City. Dianne Feinstein, when she served as mayor, the only other woman to serve as mayor of San Francisco, in 1984 created the sister city relationship between San Francisco and Cork. And so I am really proud of that history and to renew our relationship and our friendship now and for generations to come. And so with that, on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco, I need the proclamation, Martha. Oh, there we go. Because you know we're mayors and we're proclaiming and we're proclamationing and all that stuff. So first, I want to ask our Council General Robert O'Driscoll to come forward, along with our mayor from Cork, our Lord Mayor from Cork, Calm, to come forward. And on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco, we are declaring today and the entire month of March as Irish American Friendship and Heritage Day in the City and County of San Francisco. Thank you. But that's not all. Oh, they each get one. Oh, okay. You get one to take home. So unlike the Lord Mayor of Cork does not live here, so you won't be able to use it for free parking at the parking meters in San Francisco, but our Council General will. So thank you both. And there is someone else who I had the pleasure of meeting last year when I appointed him to the San Francisco Police Commission. Now, as you all know, and I'm sure as you watch, it is very, very, very difficult to get anyone through the Board of Supervisors for an appointment, especially the Police Commission. And Jim Byrne and the work that he's done in San Francisco has been extraordinary. He grew up in Visitation Valley, the son of Irish immigrants who came to the U.S. And raised their kids and created a great life for themselves and created a great son who became an attorney working to support immigrants in even not just in his legal professional capacity, but in his personal capacity, because what he believed in wanting to help people. And that's what his life has been all about, helping people, supporting people, helping those who are part of not just those who are immigrants from Ireland, but from other countries as well. And so he serves currently as a member, a very thoughtful member of the Police Commission here in San Francisco. And yes, he does have big heels to fill, because I was the Grand Marshal, proudly so, in 2019. And Commissioner, I went to all of my responsibilities, all the various things that I was asked to participate in, and I was very proud to do so. And I know that you represent your family, your history, and the work that you do. You represent a proud history here in San Francisco, and I have no doubt that you're going to continue that legacy as Grand Marshal of the parade this year. And so it is my honor to declare today Jim Byrne Day in the City and County of San Francisco. Isn't she cute? She's just gonna steal the show. You may want to have her with you in the parade. You'll get so much love, because we know how they like to boo at some elected officials and leaders. So I need to borrow that kid for myself. And with that, again, we want to thank all of you for being here today. We have today's flag raising, and the one thing I think happens every year when we celebrate this usually is that you don't leave City Hall until we actually close. This year, I'm not even going to complain about that. I want you all to enjoy yourself for as long as you want. Have a good time today. I can't wait to see you at the parade tomorrow. And please don't tear up the city on the 17th. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, thank you, Mayor Grand Marshal. We have a small program for everyone. Before we continue, though, there were a couple other folks I just wanted to say hello to and recognize. The former landlord supervisor of the United Irish Cultural Center, now our city administrator, Carmen Chu, is in the back. To recognize her. And a good friend of San Francisco's Irish community and a great friend of San Mateo's Irish community, Assemblyman Kevin Mullen, standing over there. Thank you for joining us, Kevin. And so we're going to begin the program today with San Francisco's own, led by Mary McKeever, Celtic Voices. Thank you very much, Mary and Celtic Voices. Our next speaker is the new Dean of the Consular Corps here in San Francisco, someone that the San Francisco Irish community can be very proud of. I'll just selfishly say to those of us who were at the Grand Marshal dinner last Friday, what Consul General O'Driscoll said about the situation in Ukraine and tying the community of Ukraine to the Irish Americans around the world really hit the note. Thank you, Consul General. So without further ado, Consul General Robert O'Driscoll.
A chóirde ghinúisle is mór an dom a bheith an seocht a bheith an seo an uliv don ácáid speisialta seo. John, thank you very much for that kind introduction. Guests here, we have graduated to the big room, and thank you very much, Mayor Breed, for that. It's a phenomenally big room. We're very thankful. Now, those who know me will know that this week was a very special week for me personally, because our second native San Franciscan child was born here in CPMC. Killian Lachlan O'Driscoll. And I'm due to leave, my wife and myself and our children will leave this summer. And I've been reflecting on what that means, because he will ask me one day, where am I from? Where are my people from? And I will say, you are from San Francisco. You are from the city by the bay, with one of the greatest Irish communities in the entire world. And you can be proud of that community who from its earliest days has served this city. I'm going to try and have as much Cork as possible in my remarks today, Lord Mayor. But today I want to reflect on Mary Baptist Russell, who was a Down native, but who went to the Sisters of Mercy of Cork. She came here in 1854. She set up the first convent in the city, schools, looked after the sick, looked after the elderly. That's the track record of service the Irish have had in this city since the very start. And to today, we have this enormously dynamic and energetic community. And the Irish government supports that. We spent $400,000 in grants in the last year on the Bay Area to Irish organisations, because we recognise the good work that you do and the good work that we saw you all do during the pandemic, looking after food provisions, making sure people less fortunate to ourselves looked after, being in contact with the most vulnerable in our community. And look at the vision of the Irish Centre. I was so impressed when the Rebel Cork Society donated $250,000 of their money to Liam Reedy and the project. And huge congratulations for that. Finally, just to say, we, Ireland and San Francisco, also have an enormous relationship going back a long time. We're here as a consulate since 1933. It's one of our oldest diplomatic missions anywhere in the world. And at this moment, we're at a piece of coming back from the pandemic. And what does that mean? It means that direct flights between Ireland and San Francisco are back. In the last couple of weeks, we've seen California, San Francisco company Okta just open a new office in Ireland. We've seen a Cork-based company, Altada, open their San Francisco office. And next week, we will open our brand new Ireland House, San Francisco, a state-of-the-art office here in the centre of the city to connect Ireland and San Francisco. It's a vote of confidence in our relationship with San Francisco and our belief that our Ireland's future is intertwined with that of San Francisco. So thank you all so much. And to Jim, you know how I feel about you. Love you, guy. Love you. And to all the honorary Grand Marshals, you know, I met you all at the flag raising. All of your relatives were so special and created so much and brought so much to our community. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for the celebration here today. Gurb Mihagwith. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Consul General. I know everyone is excited to get to Supervisor Stephanie's party, but before we get there, we've got a few more performances, and one of the highlights of this event every year, we'll begin with the Murphy Irish Dancers. Thank you very much, Murphy Irish School of Dancing. Now we're going to bring up the president of the United Irish Societies, the man who leads the parade, leads all our events, Mr. Liam Frost.
Thank you, Sean. Public speaking, one of my favorite things to do. Welcome to the 171st St. Patrick's Day season. And before we get started, I'd like to take a moment because we're missing two people that were huge to me. One is John Moylan, who was a past Grand Marshal. Actually, there's three, it just came to mind. One is past Grand Marshal John Moylan, as well as Catherine Linehan, another Grand Marshal. She was on our board. And then our friend in the mayor's office, who we're honoring this year as one of the honorary Grand Marshals, Charlotte Schultz. So I'd like to take a minute to remember them. Thank you. Wow, we're back. It was 2 years ago that I had taken off from a flight in Canada and everything looked good. I was talking to Sean on the phone. 2 hours later, 3 hours later, I'm landing in SFO and Sean says, "Liam, you better call me." And that was the call that he had to make. We've since had a couple of conversations. I think he's talked to his counterparts all over the United States, and they all had to make that call. And I know how hard it was for him, and that's why it's so amazing to be back this year. Mayor London Breed, Consul General Robert O'Driscoll, Lord Mayor Colm Kelleher, and distinguished honored and guests, I want to thank you all for coming today. Thank goodness we got this room because we would have overpacked that area upstairs. But I think that's what it's showing for tomorrow. You all came out today because we're getting into the spring and everybody is ready to go. So we're all here today to kick off tomorrow. So thank you. I want to thank the mayor, London Breed, and her staff for hosting this. I get to get all the names. We got Martha Cohn, Sean Ellsburn, Marone Foster, Samantha Carroll, and Emily Abraham. I think we've become best friends in the last week with all the texts and phone calls, but you've done an amazing job, and this place looks great. Thank you. And as our appreciation, I would like to give Mayor Breed a gift from the United Irish Societies and Chris Del Carlo, who's our recording secretary, correspondence secretary, I forget, and it's a kind of self-serving because we're giving her a bleak frame that she could put a picture of herself wearing the sash, hopefully with me, in that frame on her desk. So Mayor Breed, thank you. The reception was put on and hosted by Catherine Stefani with the help of Adrienne Roach and her staff, so I want to say thank you for hosting that for us. I always get choked up when I get to this part because I'm part of a board that is amazing. And to come back after 2 years and have them do all the work to put together all the events, it's a well-oiled machine, a lot of phone calls, a lot of stress, but they're the ones doing all the work. I get to come up here and get all the accolades and take the applause, but all I do is this. They're the ones who do all the work, and I really appreciate it. To my board. And their families, because as much time as they're spending with me on the phone or running around, it's the families that are missing out. So I would like to thank them, especially my wife, Mary. Every time that phone rings, she just, oh, not again. But again, I'm the one answering phone calls. They're the ones doing all the work, and they're the ones that are being separated from their family for this time. But I know come Monday, the families will be happy to get them back, so thank you. And I do want to single out Kathleen Manning, the president of the Cork Sister City Association, as well as our parade director. She's been doing it for a number of years, and this is her last year. She's going to be giving the baton to James Cohen, but I just want to say thank you to Kathleen Manning. Putting on the parade. We get to talk to the mayor's office to help us put on the parade, and we get the contacts with the SFMTA Park and Rec, Chief Gene Nicholson from the fire department, Chief Bill Scott, and we have Mike Redmond here and their staff at Traffic Northern and Central Police Station to keep us safe while we're on that route. And I really want to say thank you to the mayor and all her departments. Thank you. It's a huge honor to be the Grand Marshal of the San Francisco St. Patrick's Day Parade, and we know that. But it's also a lot of work. So when you say yes, you get to, enjoy the time in the limelight, but we also expect a lot of you, and Jim is ready. Every time I talk to him, it's like, what can I do next? So I want to thank Jim and Maureen. And then the honorary Grand Marshals. I think for them, it's both a happy and sad day to honor their family members who have been so much to the Irish community. And our honorary Grand Marshals are Pat Ahern, Maureen Doherty, Margaret Kearns, James Frank Masterson, and again, Charlotte Schultz. Thank you for allowing us to honor your family. And then my good friend Con Lyons, Grand Marshal for 2 years in a row. He is going to have a special place in the parade that has been set up by his clubs. And I just want to say, Con, I'm sorry that it was 2 years in a row that we weren't able to get you out there. But thank you for all you've done for us. I appreciate it. The St. Patrick's Day season, as I like to call it, because we know, as the mayor said, it's a month. It's more than just the flag raising, the parade, and the Grand Marshal dinner. It's the visits to the convalescent homes. Generally, we go to the Veterans Administration, St. Anne's, Alma Via, and Mayor London Breed's favorite place, Laguna Honda, because she talks about getting to go visit relatives of hers there. And she was at every event, and we appreciate it. But this year, because of COVID, we could only go to Alma Via. But when we do things like that and we invite the dancers and the children to come with us, it's setting for the future for them to be the ones that are sitting in this room. They'll be the ones that are honoring and going and spreading the good cheer, because I get up and I talk there and they're like, yeah, get off. We want to see the little ones with the curls dancing. And all the residents there have a great time. We also put on the Father Peter York Day, Robert Emmett and Kate Kennedy. And this is our season. It's the season in San Francisco. And when I say our season, I mean San Francisco, I mean the Irish. And if you live in San Francisco, as we all know, you're part of a family. It's the San Francisco family. Same thing with the Irish of faith, family, and traditions. So I invite everyone to be Irish San Francisco and help us celebrate tomorrow and come out to the parade. Thank you all.
Thank you, Liam. Now my honor to introduce a longtime member of the Irish San Francisco community, the co-chair of the Cork San Francisco Sister City Committee, and someone I have been whispering in his ear for the last, well, Liam, you kind of talk longer than you were supposed to, so the last 5 minutes, you have 30 seconds, Dermot, to introduce the Lord Mayor of Cork. See if you can stick to it.
Thank you, Sean. And a happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. It is with great honor that I now introduce the Lord Mayor of Cork, Councillor Kelleher, Colm Kelleher.
It's an honour and a privilege for me to be here in my capacity as Ard Vera Corky, and I'd just like to thank Mayor London Breed for the invitation. The relationship we have with San Francisco is going into its 39th year next year, and I would like to just pay a special thank you to Kathleen Manning in relation to the chairperson of the Cork Sister City programme, and also to Dermot as well, Consul General Robert to Falter Roth, agus go mágad so anew. I spoke with Robert briefly on the phone yesterday, all through Irish, and when the call was finished, I said to Noreen, I said, is he from the north? Is he from the north of Ireland? And because he said, Cé Cuia Viltu, he said, no, I found out your wife was later from Donegal. So that's where it came from. But no, look, it's an honour and a privilege to be here in this beautiful City Hall. We had the honour of doing the flag raising ceremony at the onset, and it was something that I will remember personally for the rest of my life. Former Lord Mayor, Councillor John Sheehan, sends his regards. He was due to lead a delegation to San Francisco in 2020, and just as COVID hit, we unfortunately had to pull the trip. The last Lord Mayor that led a delegation out here was Councillor Mick Finn, and he also sends his regards to everyone. But as Mayor London Breed said at the outset of her address, it would be absolutely political suicide of me not to mention my elected reps who have also travelled with me. And we have our Deputy Lord Mayor, Councillor Mary Rose Desmond, Councillor Derry Canty from the International SBC of Cork City Council. We also, travelling with us, we have our Chief Executive, Ms Anne Doherty. We have Senior Staff Officer, Alma Murnane, and Head of Corporate Affairs and Director of Services, Paul Moynihan. And also the representatives you have here yourself as well. Because we know, like, power, you give it with one hand and it's taken away with the other one just as quick. So last night I bumped into Mayor Breed. We were both out for dinner. And you couldn't have written this. Like, we were both out for dinner, and she happened to be in the same restaurant. So she came over briefly, and she said, "Look, how are you?" This is great. And she said, "I want to get back to Ireland. I want to go to Ireland." And someone told me that you want to stay in a castle. So we have plenty of castles in Ireland. But I mentioned it again outside in the gates of City Hall. And she goes, I don't want my room to be too warm. I goes, "Well, you'll have no problem there because all our castles back home are cold." So anyway, it's an honour and a privilege for me. We're a sister city with San Francisco. The amount of Irish lineage that I've been introduced to since I've arrived here in your beautiful city was absolutely mind-blowing. And you referenced it as well, the man that brought the water from the Sierra Mountains. There's a bus to him at the side. He was a doctor, he was an engineer, but he trained in Cork also, for where we're from. So that lineage goes back a long, long way. And us Irish have travelled the world after the Great Famine. We went to all four corners of the world, and wherever we went, we laid down roots. And I had an honour and privilege of seeing the Irish Centre out by the beach yesterday. We went there to collect wine, I was told, but when we got there was no wine, so I think yeah, the Consul General had a hand to play in that. I think it was a fix, but we got there anyway. And I was introduced to Dermot and all the beautiful people out there. I must speak to him again because I had a great-granduncle who came to the West Coast in the 1940s, and we never again heard from him. It was McAuliffe. And I met a lady at the Irish Centre yesterday, and she said, I need to talk to you on the day of the parade. So, God willing, I may have found long-lost relatives. So, Carmila Magwav, and I'm looking forward to the parade tomorrow. Carmagwav.
This was not a booby trap. I brought this on purpose, Lord Mayor. 2 years ago, Honorary Grand Marshal Charlotte Schultz presented me with this at the last event we held in City Hall. And I've kept this in my office as a reminder of her ever since. And it's very special to me, and I think to everyone in the mayor's office, that we still have so many memories of her with us in the building. Before he leaves, I just want to recognize the new supervisor from District 4, the head of the the Irish Cultural Center, Gordon Marr. Supervisor, thanks for being here. Thank you, Supervisor. And then standing just to his left, I want to make sure I also recognize the other co-chair of the San Francisco-Cork Sister City Committee, Nora Sheehan. Thank you for being here. And now we are going to bring up the next group of performers from the Wheelin' Irish Dance Group. Come on up, guys. Okay, we're almost done, everyone. I did want to recognize, Liam recognized Chief Redmond in the back. This is a bold statement to make in the month of St. Patrick's Day, but I think I will recognize perhaps the best Irish soda bread maker in all of, at least City Hall, Under Sheriff Joe Angler standing there, turning very red behind his white mask. Thank you, Under Sheriff. If I could ask Supervisor Stephanie to come up, who is going to play hostess to the rest of the event. Supervisor, would you mind helping me recognize some of our performers here today? So first, I'd like to ask representatives of the San Francisco-Cork Sister City Committee. Noreen, could you come up? Noreen or Dermot, if you could come up. Representatives of the Irish Pipers, if a representative from the Irish Pipers could come up. Mary from the Celtic Voices, you knew it was coming, Mary. Someone from Wayland Academy, and someone from the Murphy Irish Dancers. I just want to give you a certificate. Catherine wants to give it to you. So this one's for you. Where Mary, where's my Murphys?
Thank you.
Mary, Dermot, and Dermot. All right, everybody. And then we are going to conclude with Supervisor Stephanie, who's going to tell us what we do next, right?
Great.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sean. Oh my gosh, it is so amazing to see all of you. I am so happy, and that's not a feeling I always identify with in this building. So thank you to everybody for just coming to City Hall and celebrating everything Irish. It is so fitting that we are opening back up with the Irish flag raising and this party, given that 2 years ago, it was in my office when we were all talking about what was going to happen. Was the parade going to get canceled? Everybody was worried about how do we wash our hands? Where do we buy masks? And here we are gathered again today, and I can't thank you enough for being here. I also want to say, people might be confused. My last name is Stephanie. Yes, I am Italian, but as my mother reminds me, I'm also a quarter Irish. And I also want to recognize my Chief of Staff, Andy Mullen, who just became an Irish citizen as well. So we do qualify to host this party today, and we can't wait to invite you to enjoy Irish coffee and refreshments in the back. But just a few words. It's really such an honor to host this event with Mayor Breed and the United Irish Societies, and to hear from the Lord Mayor of Cork and the Consul General of Ireland and the chair of the San Francisco-Cork Sister City Committee. And I also want to congratulate our Grand Marshal, Commissioner Jim Byrne. And I have to say, if patience, tolerance, and restraint were qualifications to get you to be Grand Marshal, you exceed in that. I watched the Police Commission a couple times the other day, and I just have to thank you for your professionalism, the fact that you're an adult in the room, and that you are actually committed to public service and the safety of San Franciscans. So thank you, Commissioner Byrne. I also want to take a moment to extend my deepest thanks to Consul General Robert O'Driscoll for his work providing services to Irish communities in San Francisco and across the western United States. The Consul General's term in San Francisco ends, as you all know, in September. We're going to miss him so much, but the legacy of his accomplishments will last forever, and I just want to go over a few of those. During his time in San Francisco, Consul General O'Driscoll was instrumental in the following: establishing Ireland House San Francisco, which officially opens next week; supporting the United Irish Cultural Center's development of the Irish Center 2025 project; starting the Irish Business Chamber of California; bringing the St. Bridget's Day celebration to San Francisco, and helping thousands of Irish and Irish American people through the work of the consulate. So I want to thank you. Where are you? Oh, there you are. I was looking for you up front. Thank you, Consul General O'Driscoll. We're so grateful for your service, and I would like to present you with their Certificate of Honor. On behalf of the entire San Francisco Board of Supervisors, we have a commendation and recognition of your incredible service to the City and County of San Francisco. Oh, sure. All right, we're almost done getting to the Irish coffee. So I also want to thank all our generous supporters who made today's event possible. The San Francisco Association of Realtors, I saw Mary Chung in the back, McTeague's Saloon, Original Joe's, Rory Coyne, the Dugan family, Miss Susan Mallon and Liam Frost and Adrian Roche. I love working with you, Adrian, for all your work organizing this event. And of course to my legislative aide, Emily Abraham, who did a lot of work for today. So great to see everyone. Can't wait to be in the parade tomorrow and have a great time.